Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to be talking about the books I've recently been reading and what I liked and what I didn't like. So I've actually got quite a few to get through this month, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So the first book I have, Trusted Me by Sophie Mackenzie, and this follows a housewife who is not having such a great time. Her best friend is killed, and it's in relation to the death of her sister, which happened several years ago. And everybody just thinks that her friend has committed suicide, but she doesn't believe that. She believes there was foul play, and she's kind of seeking out the answers, and she wants to find out why her friend really died and how it's connected to the death of her sister. And it was an okay read. A few silly things kind of happened in this book that were a bit unbelievable, but for the most part I really enjoyed it. I kind of, first off, I found it a bit difficult to get into this book, and then as it kind of went on I found her more relatable, and yeah, I really wanted to know what happened. The only disappointing thing was the ending. I was kind of disappointed about who the killer was. It kept you kind of guessing throughout the book who the killer was, kind of jumping back and forth between these two characters, well, between her husband and this other guy that she ends up doing the investigation with. And yeah, I was kind of disappointed about who the killer was, but all in all it wasn't bad. I think I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. The thing that confuses me about this book is, though, on the front cover it's clearly somebody in water or drowning, but this book has absolutely nothing to do with water. There's no scenes in this book where water is mentioned or comes into play with the plot or anything, so that's kind of confusing. And also on Goodreads it's also listed under another title, which is You Can Trust Me, I think, which is also kind of bizarre. So it must have been released in it's got 2 different covers and 2 different names, which is a bit confusing, but it's not bad. So that was the one I recently finished reading. Another book I wanted to talk about was Haunted by James Herbert. This is just one of his short little books. I really like his writing. I've read quite a lot of his stories. He's one of my favourite horror writers. And this follows David Ash, and he's a character in a couple of his books who I really like, and he works for this like paranormal organisation that investigates hauntings to either prove them as being fake, forgery, or to see if they're real. And he's very, very sceptical. He's debunked a lot of hauntings, you know, just as common situations. But I really enjoyed this. It had lots of atmosphere, it was creepy, it was a nice little horror read. I'm glad I read it. I've had it for a little while on my shelf, and yeah, only good things. I think I gave it like 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. Definitely worth the read, especially if you like James Herbert and you're familiar with his work. This is one that I really enjoyed. This book was a bit of a disappointment. This is The Red House by Mark Haddon, and this book I kind of had high expectations for because, well, I bought it for the cover because the cover I think is beautiful, but it was written by the author who also wrote The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which I haven't read, but I've heard really, really good things about, so I was expecting this to be pretty good. And I started reading it, I wasn't really enjoying it. I looked it up on Goodreads, and this is the first time he's kind of changed his writing style for this book. It's not his normal writing, so I may pick up works of him in the future, but this one was super disappointing. It sounded interesting. It follows 2 families, 7 days, 1 house. So these 2 families, I think it's made up of 8 people, I think, are going on holiday basically in this house, and they're staying together. But the way it's written, it's like a constant stream of consciousness between these people. So it's written like in their minds, but it's like every paragraph is different from a different person's perspective in their mind, which is an interesting idea, but but it makes it super hard to get into the story because there were so many characters. I kept thinking, okay, this is this person, but they're talking about that person, and this is this person. It just got super confusing, for me anyway, and I feel like when I was reading on Goodreads, a lot of other people felt similar, so didn't really enjoy that one, unfortunately. Another book that I didn't enjoy was this one, and this is One Step Too Far by Tina Seekus. I'm not sure how you actually pronounce that. I've just changed it. Yeah, change him. And sorry, that's my son. So yeah, this one was super disappointing. It follows a woman, and she has had a incident happen in her life, like a tragedy, and because of this tragedy she's left her husband and she's gone off on her own and decided to start a new life. And so that was kind of interesting. I wanted to know like about the tragedy and what happened to her and why she kind of went off. But she's just, this whole story was extremely frustrating because I didn't really like her as a character. I didn't like what she did to her husband. I felt like, and even when I found out what the tragedy was, I felt like it was kind of unjustified, and what she does to him is very cruel. So it made me difficult to like her because I just kept thinking, you've done this awful thing. She just up and leaves, just abandons him, and it kind of leaves you to think that it's something that he's done, but then you find out near the end that it's nothing he's done. It's kind of all on her, and I don't like how it just made it really hard to like her. But not only that, she has a identical twin sister in this book who clearly has mental health issues, which is horribly handled by her family. You're kind of meant to dislike her twin sister. I feel like that's how they built it up. But I just felt sorry for her. They treat her so badly. And yes, she has issues, and yes, she's not got such a great personality at times. But everyone just kind of dismisses her. Nobody really supports her or helps her. The mum tries at one point, but it's kind of just a little bit too late in my mind. So yeah, I think I gave this a 1 star. I did read it till the end, but even the ending was extremely frustrating for me. I just couldn't, yeah, it was just a big no for me. And then I have 2 books, thankfully, that I did enjoy. I'm going to start with this one. This is by Sherilyn Kenyon. I think that's how you say her name, Kenyon. I've read several of these books and I really like them. This is No Mercy, and this is her Dark Hunter series, and she writes adult erotic fantasy basically. So it is definitely for an adult audience. This is not YA at all. But yeah, she has this whole world surrounding different gods and demons and demigods and fighters, and basically Dark Hunters are people that have had a horrendous incident happen just before they die, and then when they die they want to seek revenge. So they make a deal to give up their souls so they can come back and seek their revenge, but then they have to work for the goddess and protect mankind. And this one follows a shapeshifter called Dev, who is a werebear, so he's like a werewolf but he's a bear, and a feisty Amazon warrior known as Sam. And yes, some like chaos ensues and they have to try and figure out how to save mankind. It's not my favourite out of all of her stories. My favourite one is Acheron. I'm going to do a separate review on that. I might do like a whole series review of her stuff, but I really like it. If you like mythology and a bit of fighting and a bit of erotica and action, this is the book for you. I really enjoy it. And last but not least, I have Rage Against Dying by Becky Masterman. This was kind of surprising for me. I liked this one more than what I thought I was going to. It's a crime thriller, but it involves a woman called Bridget, and she's a retired agent. She's in her 50s, and basically one of her old cases comes back up. New evidence is found. They think they've caught the killer, but she's not convinced that he is the killer, and she needs to try and find the true killer. And I'm not going to say too much about this book because I don't really want to give anything away, but she's a really likeable character. She's really feisty. I think I gave this a 4 out of 5. If you're into crime thrillers, I would definitely give this one a go. It's definitely worth it. She's a little bit different to the normal detective agent people I normally read about in these crime thrillers. Yeah, just her whole personality and everything. She's very determined. She's, you know, in her 50s. She's incredibly fit and yeah, just determined to find out what's happened. It's a good story. Again, some very silly things happen in this book where it could have been avoided really if she'd made a better decision, but then it wouldn't have you know, added more to the story. So yeah, overall really enjoyed. And at the moment I'm currently reading Nora Roberts' Whiskey Beach. She's very popular. I'm 97 pages in. She seems to be a very popular writer, but I've never read anything by her. And so far so good. The name's a bit ridiculous. The name of the main woman in this kind of frustrates me. Because I don't believe anyone would actually call somebody Abracadabra as a name. Yeah, it's kind of, that annoys me a little bit. But so far the story's good. It's about a man who's accused of murdering his wife, soon to be ex-wife. She gets murdered, he gets blamed, and this is like a year on him trying to resolve things, and he's moved down to Whiskey Beach, which is his grandmother's house. And yeah, he meets this woman and he has some secrets, she has some secrets, and we're going to find out what happens. So far so good, I'm enjoying it. So that's all the books that I read over this past month. And yeah, hits and misses. I think I had, what was it, 2 major misses. These 2, unfortunately. I'll be donating them to my local library. Hopefully someone else will enjoy them. But I had 3 definite hits. These 3, I knew I was going to like this one, No Mercy, and the James Herbert one, because I've read both these authors before and really liked them. So I knew these were going to both be a hit anyway. This was a surprise hit. And this one was just an okay-ish book. I did enjoy it, but yeah, the ending wasn't like just the killer. I was like, oh, okay, that's who it is. It could have been a little bit more exciting in places. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. If you have any thoughts, then please leave them down below if you agree or disagree, or yeah, you have any thoughts on any of these books. Or if you've read Whiskey Beach and you've had some thoughts on it, I would be interested to hear. So that's pretty much everything I have to say. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye guys.